students. And if you were in Lane Stadium yesterday, you know that she can have a very inspirational talk. So Colleen, please come up.
A big welcome to my fellow graduates, Dean Summercrast, our professors, families, and friends. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's early. Welcome to what is now day 2 of an entire weekend devoted to us, which I can guarantee we will take full advantage of. So in thinking of what to say, I thought I would start with an image. Picture an entire stadium of 66,000 fans jumping up and down to enter Sandman. Within 10 seconds, your legs are exhausted, but you don't care because you are so into this moment, and this is the best moment of your life right now. Imagine you're in the tunnel, and Frank Beamer is right behind you. A man motions the team to go, and you start running out onto the field. And you're running, and you're sprinting, and you're out of shape, but you're trying to sprint, and all of a sudden, you trip. Your beak goes straight into the ground, and it's jammed in there, and the team's kind of running on you, and you're just kind of flailing, and yeah, that was my very first football game. So that did happen. So the reason I give you this image is because I find it extremely fitting for today. For just as I fell at my first game, so too have we all fallen at some point during our college careers. Yet, here we are. To be honest, it made me specifically think of just how far a little perseverance can go, and just how far the passion that drives that perseverance can take us. For it is through passion that greatness emerges. But what is greatness? A lot of times the definition comes down to names. Steve Jobs was seemingly this genius who, for lack of better words, had this brilliance about him. Mother Teresa possibly had the biggest heart in the world, and Martin Luther King Jr. was arguably one of the best leaders our nation has ever seen. What we think ties those three people together, though, is this godlike greatness, this extraordinary nature, people that are of a completely different caliber than us. Yet today, I'm going to argue that they are not of a different caliber and breed, that they are not extraordinary in what they were given, they are only extraordinary in how they use what they were given. Every single one of us has a dream. We each have goals, things we want to achieve and do in our lives. One of my best friends wants to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Another one of my friends wants to create a national organization that motivates younger people to do well in school. Yet so many of us think there is no way I could ever do this or that. There is no way I am good enough for my biggest dream. How could I ever create an organization on my own that inspires kids nationwide to value their education? How could I ever eventually make it to be the CEO of Google? So instead, we settle for these smaller goals that don't capture all of our gifts. And even then, sometimes we still think we aren't good enough for our goal. But I would argue it's the other way around. The question is not if you're good enough for your dream. The question is if your dream is good enough for you. And I hope that each one of you is always questioning if your dreams are big enough. Because we sitting here, we graduates of Virginia Polytechnic and State University are good enough to achieve anything we set our hearts to. Every single one of us has this untouchable, of a different caliber, extraordinary potential. And it can only be realized if we dare to tap into it. If we dare to tap into that passion that might also allow us to fail. Yet as the great Theodore Roosevelt once said, it is hard to fail, but it is worse to never have tried to succeed. It is much better to have chased our dreams and failed than to always look at what we wish we would have done. Fellow classmates, if there is one thing I would wish you could remember from my speech, it is to never stop believing in your biggest dreams and to never stop believing in you. Because every single one of us has this extraordinary potential to change the world and you can't waste that. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute honor, and congrats.